Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Max with BuzzTox here, and I am back with the initial review for House of the Dragon Season 1, Episode 5. Now, before I get into the full episode, I just have to say, I sound like a broken record, but these episodes keep getting better and better. The show keeps getting better and better. I am thoroughly impressed. It's not just the money that they're spending with all of the cinematography and the shots, it's also the character work. My biggest takeaway from this episode is there is not one character I hate. And I think that's very impressive considering this story is really based off of a civil war, two sides fighting against each other. And I think they're doing it in the most effective way possible because we care for all of these characters. Otto and Alicent Hightower, I think they're amazing. I love watching King Viserys. I love watching Rhaenyra, Kristen Cole, even Daemon. Even this Lannister, he is the best Lannister. I think he's hilarious. So all in all, thoroughly impressed. And all of these scenes were so intense. And it really had me wondering what was going to happen. But my biggest takeaway from this episode is I really think this was Alicent Hightower's episode. This is the first time she really got the spotlight, and I think it was deserved. I think the actress did an amazing job, and she's a character that I really like. In this episode, we essentially watch her grow up and kind of come into her own and get her own motivations. Last episode, she defended Rhaenyra with the scandal regarding Daemon Targaryen. And the first scene with her and her father, I think, was a great scene. Because he mentioned something that I didn't even consider. The fact that Aegon has to be king because Rhaenyra taking the throne as queen is immediately going to be contested. And for her to effectively be queen, she cannot have any successors. So essentially, if Rhaenyra was to succeed being queen, it puts the lives of Alicent Hightower's children at stake. And I think Otto did a very good job explaining this. And I thought it was a very powerful scene, and it made me love these characters even more. And I think that's the most important thing is, whatever side you're on, there's a foundation of empathy. I understand why Alicent Hightower is doing what she's doing. I understand why Otto is doing what he is doing. I feel like this show is doing a great job at that. But throughout the episode, we see Alicent Hightower constantly unfolding the truth about Rhaenyra. She hears gossip about the tea that was delivered to Rhaenyra, which leads her to call Kristen Cole so she could have a conversation with him. The guy's so honorable. She wants to talk about Daemon, but he ends up spilling the beans that he ended up sleeping with her. And at this moment, it completely proved to Alicent that Rhaenyra is not fit to be a queen. And she had all this anger towards her. And that's the moment where she really decided that her child, Aegon, is going to sit the throne. And I think that was a really important scene. Kristen Cole really reminds me of like a Dornish Jon Snow. Like the guy is so honorable. And he's a good guy to have in your corner. But in this episode, he really dishonored himself. And that scene of him punching Lionel's lover was intense. But I think we're seeing the birth of a really good friendship and relationship between Alicent Hightower and Kristen Cole. I feel like they're really going to be allies, and she's going to have his back. And her talking with Kristen Cole and hearing his exploits with Rhaenyra, that's her first political move. She's growing up, essentially. She knows the secret that Kristen slept with Rhaenyra. She's not going to tell anybody. She knows that. And she's the one who ends up finding Kristen before he kills himself. So politically, she's finally starting to handle herself in King's Landing. And she's building these friendships. And that was hinted at when she was in the gardens talking to this guy. That she says she's the queen and she has allies, but she truly doesn't. And I think she realizes that, and she finds that in Kristen Cole. So I think that was a great development for Alicent Hightower, for being just the wife of the king to being a true political player. And her stepping out in that green dress was powerful. It showed that she made a choice. She chose Old Town. She's going to be known as the Greens. And this is a civil war between the Greens and the Blacks. And here it was clear as day that Alicent Hightower made a decision that she is now standing up for her family, for her son, for her children. And she is now not in favor of Rhaenyra being queen. So all in all, I think her development was amazing. And I'm really excited to see where she goes. I'm excited to see how she leverages this relationship with Kristan Cole, because it seems like she's going to become a very powerful player. But then really the other focal point of this plot is Rhaenyra and her wedding Lionel Valerion to join their two great Targaryen houses. And first, I just want to talk about the terms of the marriage, which to me seems like a bit of a reach. The king and Corlys Valerion essentially talk about the implications and logistics of Rhaenyra being queen. And basically, they agree that Lionel and Rhaenyra's children will be named Valerion until they sit the throne, and then they will be known as Targaryen, which to me has so many logistical problems. So politically, I just find it interesting that Corlys wants to do it. Regardless if it's right or wrong, I figured politically, wouldn't Corlys want to wed his daughter to Aegon, the son of Alicent and the king? But this is where the civil war happens, so he makes a choice. And he is choosing to currently side with Rhaenyra. So they agree to wed them. And these two were cousins. Rhaenyra and Lionel grew up together. And Rhaenyra clearly knows that Lionel desires men. She likes duck and he likes goose, whatever the hell she was talking about. And that's the main rift between them. They basically come to terms and an understanding that they are going to wed politically, but they're going to live the lives that they want to lead. They're both in love with their people. Kristan Cole is clearly very upset. He doesn't want to be strung along. And I thought that was a great build-up to the wedding. Seeing Kristan Cole kill Lionel's lover was intense. I did not expect it to happen. I didn't know what the fight was about, but I think it was very effective. Kristan's clearly very hurt, and I can totally justify his actions. But that wedding was a total disaster. Even the king passed out at the end. Let's hope he's okay. But the marriage between Lionel and Rhaenyra is not off to a great start, especially with Daemon entering the mix. And that guy's just a wild card. And the king can't even do anything because he can't politically let them know about the scandal because it sullies his own daughter. So he has to be quiet and smile. And then Daemon pulls her aside and Rhaenyra still has a thing for him and is like flirting back and forth with him and open to marriage. So the whole thing was a mess. But I think it was very clear that this is not the end of Daemon and Rhaenyra. But all in all, amazing episode. The king's health is deteriorating a lot faster than I thought. But it really makes sense because it's going to propel Alicent Hightower's desire to make sure everything is okay. That's why she was talking to her uncle from Old Town. She's solidifying allies. Kristan Cole, she's solidifying him as an ally. And I think her putting on the green dress is the equivalent of her putting on armor. She's going to war. And I think that's the biggest takeaway here, is this is where the true conflict starts between Alicent Hightower and Rhaenyra Targaryen. But those are my thoughts about this episode. If you liked it, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.